after placing the columns, I want to select it. No, it does not matter whether to select concrete or steel. We get some specific parameters, but note that we got more or an extra parameters for the slanted columns comparing to vertical ones. So I want to talk about the slanted columns, since if we talk about and cover all of the properties, we are covering the entire parameters of the vertical ones as well, because both properties are the same, but slanted ones got more parameters. Here in level 2, steel, concrete, fine. If I set this to fine level of detail, we can see them more clearly. Watch this. And as we are at the floor plan, as you can see, we can see all of them, but if we change the view range and set negative values, we can see the structural elements too. Now I just wanted to explain this briefly, since we have talked about this in our Revit structure course. And I create the beam here by this way. Afterwards, here in the 3D view, check this out. I want to select the structural column, slanted. I check to enable 3D snapping by this way. Afterwards, I draw it like this way. Then I get back to this part. Then I draw the section line here. I open the section view. Fine. Very well. Right now, here if I select this, we got a column with some properties, as you can see. Then we want to talk about them. Firstly, we got the base level, which is the level constraint for the base of the column. And also in the continuation, we got the base offset. Watch this. We can specify a negative or a positive value. And as you can see, the column is being moved on the grid, and it is not extended. Okay, it continues along the grid. The next one is top level. Watch this, which has been set to level 2, that we can set it to other levels. But the point here is that if we connect the structural columns to foundation, to traces, to structural framings and braces, they will join to these structural elements by default automatically. That, as you can see, I have connected the structural column to the beam and they are joined, and the top level has been set to level 3, but still it is not extended. But the value of top offset is minus 4000. In fact, the length should be started from level 1 to level 4, but it is not extended because of the join. If I click on here, let me zoom in, and then I right click on this solid circle. Watch this. Drag structural framing component. I want to disable the join. Let me see. I click and drag it to disabling the join, and if I specify 0 for the top offset, then it will be connected to level 4. Okay, you can also click and drag for disable the joining. Watch this. Level 2, 0 for top offset. The next one is column style, and it works only on the slanted columns, not others. I mean, right now, here if I open the drop down list, we got some options, and we just need to connect the end of or the top of the column to an element. Right now, let me select this and make a copy. Okay, right now it is unconnected. Here we got a slanted angle driven. In fact, we can consider an angle for the structural column. If I extend the beam, watch this, and since it has been joined to this, the column is moving with the beam. I set this to endpoint angle driven. I move the beam, and then I connect the column to the beam. Watch this. Then I can use this option to control the behavior of the column when intersecting to other structural element. I mean, if I intersect the column to the beam, watch this, it will be attached to the beam, and then if I extend the beam, the column will be moving with the beam, as you can see. So this was about column style. The others are move with top grids and move with base grid. It is used for when that we have placed the columns on the grids or at grids. Watch this, that we can check it if we want to move the columns with grids or not. And here we got base and top. Watch this. Here, as you can see, it has not been set to top and it is not moving, but if I move the base one, it is moving other elements. Watch this. If I move the base grid, it moves the columns by this way. And if you wanted to remove the connection between the grid and the column, you just need to uncheck the move top with grids. The next one is column location mark. It only works out on the vertical columns, which specifies the coordinate location of the column on the project grid. And if I select this, you see the name of the grids that are intersecting each other. For example, let me see B3. Here we got B and 3 in vertical and horizontal grids. The next one is top is attached, which is a read-only parameter. For example, top is attached. It means that top of the column is attached to other elements. It is only shown for the elements that are attached to other elements. And in cross-section rotation, we can rotate the cross section like 45 degrees. Check it out, like this way. Again, I select it and set it to 0. The next part here is base cutter slide in construction group. It is specialized only for slanted columns, not vertical columns. Watch this. Base cutter style, which has been set to perpendicular. We can set to perpendicular, horizontal, or vertical. We can choose each of these options which are required for your project. Watch this, horizontal. The next one is base extension, that you can specify the extension length like 1 meter, but note that it is different to base offset, or top extension is different to top offset. The next one is top geometry alignment. As you can see, the top is aligned, that we have set it to bottom of beam actually. Now it is attached to the bottom of beam. I set it to coarse detail level, then I select it. Check it out. Lines. If I set it to center of beam, then it will be joined to the center of the beam. If I set it to top of the beam, it will be joined to the top of the beam. But if I set it to location line, the alignment will be based on the location line. So we can choose each of these. The next one is attachment justification at top, which has been set to tangent, or minimum intersection, intersect column with line, like this, or maximum intersection, or tangent, like this way. For instance, if I select each of these options, like maximum intersection or location line, check this out. If I change this, I set them to the default mode, tangent. The next one, offset from attachment at top. Here, as you can see, there is an offset between the two elements. There is a gap between them that we can control this offset to 12.7 or 13. If I set it 10, watch this, or if I specify 0, they will be connected to each other and the gap will be removed. I specify 10 for the offset here.